40 years of decline. That was the story. For 4 decades, fewer adults were joining churches. The trend was consistent, documented. And then, in the spring of 2026, something shifted. The receipts just landed, and they tell a story researchers did not see coming. This is GodSpeak, the receipt desk. And tonight, we are showing you the receipts. Let's start with the headline number. According to Hallow, an app that tracks digital engagement across Catholic dioceses, adult baptisms and OCIA new Catholics at Easter 2026 jumped 38% compared to Easter 2025. That is not a single diocese. That is an analysis of 140-plus dioceses across the United States, representing 80% of the country's Catholic infrastructure. 38% in 1 year. A generation of adults that researchers had largely written off as culturally hostile to religious commitment is, apparently, walking into baptismal fonts in unexpected numbers. But the numbers are not just national, they are global, and they are staggering. Los Angeles saw 8,598 adults and candidates joining the church at Easter 2026. That is a 139% increase over the prior year. In 2025, the number was roughly 3,600. This year, it nearly tripled. In Duluth, Minnesota, 186 adults joined at Easter, compared to 76 the year before. That is a 145% jump in a city of 90,000 people. In France, the Bishops' Conference reports 21,386 adults and teens received baptism at Easter, with approximately 13,234 adults alone, up 28% from 2025. Over a decade, the adolescent baptism rate has tripled. Melbourne, Australia, saw 550 people enter the rite of election at Easter, a 57% increase and the largest number in the Archdiocese's history. This is not one church. It is not one region. It is a global signal. The Los Angeles numbers deserve their own moment. 8,598 adults and candidates preparing to join the church in a single archdiocese in a single spring. That is more than 139%. That is near doubling on top of doubling. For context, the United States average per Hallow is 38%. Los Angeles is running at nearly 4 times that rate. It is an outlier. And it is in the densest media market in the country, in a city that has been tracked religiously for cultural trends, which means the rest of the country is watching. And watching matters. Because cultural change in America often filters through Los Angeles first. One church can be an anomaly, one city can be an outlier, but a pattern across dioceses, nations, and continents signals something deeper. When you see 38% growth in the United States, 145% in Minnesota, 139% in Los Angeles, 28% in France, 57% in Melbourne, and a sustained climb across Northern Europe, you are not looking at random data scatter. You are looking at a signal. The question is, what is driving it? The receipts cannot tell you the full story, but history, sociology, and scripture can frame the question. These adults are coming. They are walking into churches. They are entering catechesis. They are asking to be baptized. The data does not explain why. It only confirms that it is happening. And it is happening simultaneously across geographies, in cities and towns that have no direct connection to each other. That convergence is the signal we should not miss. Acts chapter 2, verse 47. The early church in its first season, Luke writes, "The Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved, not once a year, daily." The growth was organic, continuous, irresistible. Matthew 28 captures the mechanism, the Great Commission. Go, therefore, and make disciples. Teach them to observe all things I have commanded, and I will be with you always. For 2,000 years, the church has carried that commission. It has not always done so faithfully, but it has never stopped. What 2026's receipts may be showing us is something Scripture promised all along, that when the gospel encounters genuine hunger, when it meets the ache of human emptiness, growth follows. The data does not give us the story of individual conversion. It cannot. But it gives us the aggregate signal that thousands of adults in the same spring, across different nations, are deciding that the institutional church, for all its flaws, holds something worth entering. That is remarkable. And Scripture speaks directly to it. What does a 38% surge in adult baptisms actually mean? The surface answer: more people are joining. That is undeniable. The deeper answer: something is shifting in the cultural calculation of faith. For decades, joining a church was read as culturally regressive, backwards, an admission of weakness or intellectual surrender. That story is changing. Perhaps crisis is a factor. We live in measurable chaos. Economic precarity, social fragmentation, the collapse of shared meaning-making institutions outside the church. When life fractures, people reach for something durable. Perhaps hunger is a factor, not hunger for comfort, but for authority, for a moral framework that is not up for democratic revision every 18 months, for a truth claim that predates contemporary sociology. Perhaps it is both. Crisis pushes the door open. Hunger explains why people stay and commit. But there is another possibility. Perhaps adults are simply exhausted by the false gods we have been offered, and they are discovering that the church, despite its manifest failings, is still holding something true, something that holds them, rather than the other way around. Whatever the mechanism, the receipts are clear. They are coming, and we get to be witnesses to that moment. The receipts are real, the numbers are documented, and the conversation they open is worth having. What do you think is pulling adults back to baptism right now? Social chaos, spiritual hunger, or something your own church is doing differently? What is your story? Have you watched this happen? Have you lived it? If you have, we want to hear it. Bring it to asknatefreeman.com. Join the conversation. This has been GodSpeak, the receipt desk. The word is true, the data backs it up, and the story is still being written.